Riverbend Awareness Project.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast episode are solely those of the individuals participating and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Riverbend Media Group or the Riverbend Awareness Project, its affiliates, or its employees. It is important to note that the discussion presented is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as medical advice. Listeners are encouraged to consult with qualified healthcare professionals for any medical concerns or decisions. The Riverbend Awareness Project is a product of Riverbend Media Group.
So we talk about resources, right? Parents. Having a good relationship with your parents. That's a good resource. Mm-hmm. Are there other resources or actions that teens can take if they have decided, okay, they've recognized I'm in an abusive relationship. I want to be out of this abusive relationship.
Okay, so you do have your National Teen Dating Hotline.
Okay.
So you can
write this down so we can put it in the notes. Sorry.
Call, and that phone number is 866-331-9474. There is community or tribal domestic violence and sexual assault centers that are around our communities here locally. Looking at, you can go to the Idaho Coalition website, and it will give you lists of local agencies that are close by.
What's the Idaho Coalition website? Sorry.
I don't have that one off the top of my head.
What is the Idaho Coalition? Is that just a coalition for?
It's a coalition for the state of Idaho.
Okay.
That they're based out of Boise. They have great material for teen dating, teens in general, about what's telephone safety, what's internet safety, what's healthy relationships. What are the laws based on consent? They have some great information that way, but they will also let you know what your local agencies are. So besides the Idaho Coalition, you have the Idaho Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault. Oh my gosh, why can't I think of it off the top of my head? I see DVVA, Idaho Domestic Violence. I have to think of this one.
We can get it later too, and we can put it in the notes.
So there is another one, and they're the actual council.
Okay.
So they will also have lists of those resources as well. That gives guidelines of where those organizations are and what can help. There's finding groups, teen groups that they can go and they can learn the aspects of what's healthy and what's unhealthy in those relationships. Counseling. So going to counseling can help you process and navigate things, weigh the pros and cons of the relationship that you're currently in, walk you through what's the best practices for that. If you're considering, you want to break it off, what is that going to look like? Because once you decide to break up, and things after that, violence and abuse can escalate from there. So, what does a safety plan look like? Putting together a safety plan for yourself to keep you safe, whether you're at school, in your community. Who are going to be your support people? What emergency numbers are you going to need? So looking at that as a whole in order to help navigate through that relationship and keep yourself safe when you decide to end things. And if you're going to end it, best thing to do is end the relationship by phone, or you go to a public place and end it in a public place. Try not to be alone. And then afterwards, try and avoid that contact.
Are there any resources out there to inform people before they get in a situation like that?
So again, it goes back to books, classes, your behavior yourself. What do you expect in your relationship, and what are your boundaries? Just educating and looking into those. There is some websites out there that you can type in and talk. Let's see what teen dating abuse looks like. And you have all kinds of resources you can look at. If you have questions, reach out to your local organizations who are really well educated in the relationship you're currently in to help with that. Healthy relationships. Nothing physical. Not going to kick you. Not going to bite you. Not going to hit you. Not going to spit on you. That's not a healthy relationship. They're going to respect you and respect your boundaries. When it comes to consent, one thing when I do teen group is, what does consent look like to you? If you're in a relationship and somebody just reaches over and grabs your hand really quick and you kind of like are caught by surprise, do you feel comfortable? Do you feel uncomfortable about that? Start practicing yourself. Hey, I want to hold your hand. Can I hold your hand? So just working through that to, give consent. Just like if your kids, how many kids, you're a teen and your mom's telling you, hey, go give Uncle Joe a hug goodbye. And they're like, I don't want to. But then sometimes we're pushing them. Well, he's your uncle. Go give him a hug. Respecting, those boundaries as well. Like, I don't want to. I'm just not comfortable. If they say no, it's okay. Don't force them to do it.
That makes sense. I remember I have a nephew. He's little, but I'm not home all the time, right? Because I'm somewhere else. And they're like, oh, give Aunt Melissa a hug. And he was like, and I'm like, that's okay. You don't have to give me. But he ended up giving me a hug. But I felt bad. I was like, he didn't want to, which I wasn't mad that he didn't want to. I was like, he doesn't see me all the time. So that makes sense, right? I don't quite know her. I just saw her again after several months. So I was like, okay, next time I need to be better at that. Be like, if he seems excited to give me a hug, great. If not, that's okay. You don't have to give me a hug. Or high five. Or if that doesn't work, that's okay too. Just wave bye. Sorry, that was, I don't know. That's what it made me think of.
It absolutely is. Because there's also other things like, sometimes kids want to overshare some of the things that they have been through in their traumas. And, be very cautious about sharing some of that information because they can use that and play off of that against you as well. Tear you down, make you feel bad. They can manipulate you. So be aware of what you really want to share with somebody until you really, really, really know who they are and you can know that you can trust them. So just like he's like, oh, I'm not ready to give you a hug because he may not know you just yet. Mm-hmm. And so he needs to learn, what does that trust look like going forward? Same thing within your relationships. Can you trust this person that they're not going to do something to harm you if you share something or you do something? That's important.
So if a parent does think, this is kind of a two-part question. I guess what are maybe some warning signs that parents don't always see for their teens in being in an abusive relationship?
Oh, this one I really had to kind of think about because usually when your kids are going through something, you might you'll see some changes in them.
So maybe what are signs that they would see? I guess maybe it was a poorly worded question. So what are just signs that parents can notice?
They start to isolate themselves. Okay. So that would be away from family, friends. They're struggling academically. You might see some risky behaviors. They may be getting in trouble at school. They may be getting into fights. You might notice that they start yelling at others. So behaviors maybe come off, or you may have other kids who they're just embedding themselves constantly, and major focus is on academics. Sometimes, that's great. That's what we want to see, but there also might be they're trying to escape, and so that's how they're focusing too. Um, let's see what's some other ones that I can tell you about. Isolation. Depression is another one. So you might have a child who has been really bubbly, outgoing. All of a sudden, you notice a change in them that they're not as bubbly as they used to be. So, what's kind of going on there? Um, and then if you're starting to notice, be aware when it becomes physical, maybe they're starting to have marks or bruises or things like that. Um, and if you're noticing it quite frequently, they might be kind of making excuses. Oh, I just fell, or oh, I just bumped into a wall. Kind of be aware and kind of pay attention to that as they're moving forward, because there could be more going on than what really is being portrayed.
And then, sorry, second part of that question. So if a parent has noticed these signs, what advice would you, I guess I should say parent, guardian, whatever the trusted adult in that teen's life is, and they notice those signs, what advice would you give them to do next after they've started to notice things?
Okay. Sorry, guys, reading over my notes on this one because I had to write this one down.
You're good. That's good. That means it's a lot of advice.
It's the beauty of editing. We can cut all the dead space out.
And I'll write some notes too. I'm like, okay, I need to write down all of the Idaho Coalition.
Okay. So to parents, when it comes to having conversations with your teens, be on their level, come to their level. Trust your instincts about what's going on. Listen to their thoughts and their feelings, because their feelings really are important and matter, because we can't tell them how they feel or what they should feel when they're going through something like this. Um, Tell them that you're worried about them. You want to help them. Let's find resources that can help. Don't be embarrassed if you're going to reach out for help through a pediatrician or a counselor, or a professional in order to help you navigate this system with your kids to help understand it. Reassure your child that the abuse that they're going through is not their fault. They deserve to be loved and cared for, like anybody. And that's how they should be treated. They also need to be, know that they don't have to engage in a relationship that has violence or abuse in it. And there's ways to get help.
I love that too, the part that you said of the parent or the trusted adult recognizing I can show them that it's okay to reach out for help by reaching out for help with what to do next. I think that's awesome.
And I think also, if they see that their parent or guardian or that a trusted adult is reaching out to somebody to get help, to get advice to, they may be more open themselves to say, okay, I need some help too, and it's not a bad thing. You know, my mom's doing it, my dad's doing it. You know, we're supposed to be these role models in our teens' lives and help them navigate through life. You know, and sometimes we struggle. So sometimes if we show them that we're doing things, you know, and being that role model, it might help and encourage them to move forward too.
Yeah. It's all good to know. If somebody is in a relationship like that, if you could tell them one thing, like what would their first step need to be that they should take after hearing this podcast?
Trust your instincts. And if you feel that the relationship that you're currently in is abusive, you know, get help immediately. Reach out. There are people willing to help and get you through the situation that you're going through. You're not alone in this. You know, there is others who have been through it, and you know, they can help you.
Thank you so much for coming in today, and for sharing your passion and your experience. It's been very good. I feel like we always, not always, there's a lot of topics that we choose or discuss on this podcast that are hard, right? But I always feel like we come away with hope and encouragement because it's all about helping people
Absolutely.
and showing one another that there are communities of people out who want to help and support you in whatever hard thing you're facing. So thank you for helping us to continue to do that.
You're very welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Riverbend Awareness Project. You can listen to this anywhere you get podcasts or at the Riverbend Awareness podcast page.